So we got some Halo Infinite gameplay today. I've been grinding for that Hayabusa helmet, so I guess this is a modern Halo commentary today. But as a newly single man in the year 2025, after being out of the dating game for about 8 years, I was in an 8-year relationship, and dating again, it is a completely different world, and I can kind of see why people say that, dating's impossible nowadays, nothing seems to work out, I can't find the person, sparking that loneliness epidemic debate that I see. And I really feel like, because I've really sat down to think about it, because I've had a lot of dates go well, I've met a lot of incredible women, the timing just wasn't right, there's no animosity in there, just the timing didn't work out for us. So I really want to talk about the 4 reasons why I think, dating is so impossible in 2025 and what we can do to kind of remedy this situation. So the first thing I've noticed is this gender war going on between men versus women on both sides. Like when I go on YouTube or like any kind of thing discussing dating or anything like that, I am filled with tons of red pill content where men get online and just say the most horrible things about women, where it's like they just want to use you for your money, take you for half of what you're worth, they're going to cheat on you, you can't trust them, blah, blah, blah. And it fills men with these ideas that every single woman just wants you for your assets, they only want the top 1% guys, and it, drives a wedge. And then on the same side, for women, all men are pigs, this and that, men are terrible, they just want to use you, they're going to cheat on you, they don't value who you are, they want you to just stay in the kitchen and that's it. This gender divide that is going on right now is insanity. And if you actually, and it makes me think what types of men and women are people meeting nowadays? All the women that I've met are fantastic people. I don't think anything wrong of them, like these guys on the red pill content are saying. And then I think for the women, what kind of men are they meeting? Because I know for me, I'm not like that, and I know most of the people I hang out with and associate with are not like that. I feel like it's pretty obvious to be able to tell the men that would not be a good partner, and fairly obvious to tell the women that wouldn't be a good partner. But this divide of men versus women, kind of just to make content, make money, because there's a very valuable market in just complaining about the opposite sex, pandering to that market that's lonely, maybe a little bitter that they haven't been able to find a partner, and it just further wedges them to the sides of I hate men or I hate women, and it started this gender war in a way, and it's really insane to see. So I think that is the number one cause of this right now. And this actually does have a remedy. A few of these, and I'm going to discuss, there is no remedy for it. But this one, people need to get off of this red pill content. Stop, or, the, anti-men content. And realize that there are incredible people that you can meet. There are going to be assholes that are men and women, but there are incredible people. Not everyone is against you, trying to use you for everything. And people just need to come back to reality and realize that there are good people left in this world on both sides. Stop watching sensationalist content that's meant to drive you further away to just monetize you. The second thing is unrealistic expectations. And again, everything I'm discussing here is men and women, because both genders in this are equally responsible for what's going on. The unrealistic expectations of dating for men. They expect their women, from what I'm seeing, the single men, expect their women to just be work, stay at home, clean the house, do all this insane stuff, be there for them. It's almost like they want them to be like a servant, in a way. And that is completely not ever going to happen. The year is 2025. This is not 1960. It is what it is. That's not realistic. And why would you even want that in the first place? It's kind of odd to me. But it's an equal partnership. Obviously, majority of relationships, the man leads. But that's still a far different thing from us basically having, a woman be your freaking house servant in a way. It's 2025. I feel like that's an unrealistic thing. And most men that are looking for that are not going to find that. That's just not going to happen. And then for women, I would imagine the unrealistic expectations are kind of more so on the woman's side, but, the amount of people that I've heard expect their man, even if they're in their early 20s, to be making, six figures. They're like, 100,000 minimum. I feel like people don't comprehend just how unlikely that is to find. Like, I don't know the statistic off the top of my head. I'll put a picture of it when I look it up. But majority of people in the world do not make six figures. That is a ridiculous thing. So they expect six figures, be in incredible shape, treat them the way they want, and, help clean around the house, do all this stuff. That is also an unrealistic expectation. So both sides need to realize that this isn't a fantasy world. You're not going to find a guy that's making $100,000 a year that's going to do all this stuff around the house. And men, you're not going to find a woman that's just going to be like, a subservient person to you, like, way back in the day, like, 70 years ago or something like that. It's unrealistic. People need to realize that dating, you just need to find someone that, you're attracted to, that you connect with on an emotional level. You have a, common life goal and interests, and it's a partnership. And whichever one you want, most of the time it's the man that, takes the leadership role in the relationship, and just work on that. And just be a equal partnership. And that's how the relationships work. Stop with this unrealistic expectations. And the third one, this one is really not solvable in my opinion. That is the seeming political divide between men versus women, especially with people a little bit younger than me. It's happening in my generation as well, but in Gen Z and stuff like that, it seems that majority of women are left-leaning and majority of men are conservative and right-leaning. And politics have become such a massive deal to everyone. Like, I feel like even back in the 90s, the general public didn't really care that much. But politics is such a massive thing right now that there's a lot of women. And I know women that are incredible people that are open-minded. If you don't think like them, they're not going to date you. And guys, too. If you don't think politically, we're not going to date each other. So I think that is a massive cause. And there really is no... I don't know. There's really no way to fix that. Because I do know a lot of people that, are more in the middle, left and right, that they can come together. If we disagree on a few things, it's not a big deal. As long as you're a great person, that's fine. I've seen the videos of the left-leaning women that say, the guys that are left-wing are not meeting my standards, and I found this conservative guy that's fantastic, but I don't want to date him just because we don't fit politically. So that's something that I think is a massive issue that will not ever be solved until people start coming back more towards the same political ideology, and I really just don't see that happening anytime soon. So that is a massive thing. I think a lot of people could probably get over that if they want to, but they just don't want to. And the final thing is hookup culture has been ridiculous lately. I just find it crazy how people go out and just hook up the way they do. As a guy, and this is not a man or a woman thing, this is just everybody. Like, people, when they speak about how many, sexual partners they've had, it's insanity to me. Like, I just do not understand how people go out and do this. Men and women. I am one. I've had, one or two hookups in my lifetime. Like, the one-night stands and everything like that. I've always felt terrible about it the next day. Because every time people do that, it's when they're in, an emotionally vulnerable state. From what I think. The girls, if they get out of a relationship, they say, their friends are like, hey, go out there, have fun. Same with the guys. If you get out of a relationship, go out there and have fun, dude. Go get some girls. Most people do that in, times of distress. Because I would imagine men and women, if they are looking for a partner, would like their partner to have as little sexual partners as possible. I would imagine that would be the preference. I'm not saying you wouldn't date someone just because of a certain number, but if you could have your choice, as little as possible for men and women. And this constant hookup culture has kind of ruined the thought process of dating. and, people don't really get to know each other fully before they start just hooking up, and that, could, squander the relationship because maybe you're dating someone and you don't like them, but, you have a good time with the hookup, and then, 3 months down the line, you realize, I don't really like this person, but I was blinded by it. Or there could be someone that's great, you didn't have a great time, and, instead of working on that, you just cut the ties off immediately. So this constant hookup culture, constantly getting, satisfaction from that, I think that is also driving the wedge, because it makes a lot of guys and girls look at each other and say, oh, well, this girl just sleeps around, or this guy just sleeps around, he's not boyfriend or girlfriend material, when if we just toned it down a little bit, and, I don't want to say get, more like we were back in the day, but just maybe tone down the hookup culture, and everyone would start getting like a better mindset for each other, because I'll be honest, I mean, if I was going to be speaking to a girl, and they told me, I've been with a ton of guys, I'd probably be like, yeah, that's probably not the person I want to be with. And I would imagine the woman that I would end up with, I would hope they would look at a guy, and the guy says, yeah, I've been with this many girls, and if it's some ridiculous number, obviously it's not a fantasy world where it's going to be like 1 or 2 people, but I mean, there's certain numbers where it's insane. But if we get back more to the normal way of thinking about, intimate times, I feel like that would help a lot too. But that's just my perspective on this as someone who's fresh into the dating game for the first time in 8 years. It's insanity out there. I totally understand what people are saying, but from my experience, there are incredible women out there. Just because it didn't work out with the 2 or 3 women I've spoke to, does not mean they are not incredible women. Whoever gets to date them is going to be, some lucky guys. They're great. The timing just didn't work out. There's no animosity. And for the girls out there, there's tons of great guys out there. You just have to find it. You have to dig through all of this gender war stuff. You got to get your expectations back in check. Maybe your politics won't 100% align, but that's okay. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. I know fantastic people that are left-wing people. I know fantastic people that are right-wing. I know shitty people that are left-wing, shitty people that are right-wing. Be more open-minded with that. And there are good people out there. And I feel like once we stop the sensationalism and stop hating each other, we can maybe get back on track.